Everything we do has consequences. I was on a trip recently to lecture for 2 weeks in Fiji. A friend said, I have a little book, I've read it 3 or 4 times, I'll give it to you if you'll read it. Well, that's pretty good incentive. He said it's just a small book. It's called The Butterfly Effect by Andy Andre. Have any of you ever read The Butterfly Effect? The principle is that we have a potential that is absolutely profound. Small decisions, small statements can have major consequences. The early pages of this little book, and by the way, I read it in 2 minutes, and he said, you didn't read it? I said, I read every single word of it. It's very readable, and it's very interesting. I gave him the book back, and he said, I want to give it to you. I said, keep your copy. We're going to carry it at the Creation Evidence Museum. So we have these available today. Let me show you the value. In 1963, Edward Lorenz, physicist Edward Lorenz, presented a hypothesis to the New York Academy of Science. His theory, stated simply, was this: a butterfly could flap its wings and set molecules of air in motion, which would move other molecules of air, in turn moving more molecules of air, eventually capable of starting a hurricane on the other side of the planet. Lorenz and his ideas were literally laughed out of the conference. Literally. What he had proposed was ridiculous. But it was ridiculous, and it was preposterous, but it was fascinating. Therefore, because of the idea's charm and intrigue, the so-called butterfly effect became a staple of science fiction, remaining for decades a combination of myth and legend spread only by comic books and bad movies. So imagine the scientific community's shock and surprise when, more than 30 years after the possibility was introduced, physics professors working from colleges and universities worldwide came to the conclusion that the butterfly effect was authentic, accurate, and viable. Soon after, it was accorded the status of a law, now known as the law of sensitive dependence upon initial conditions. This principle is proven to be a force encouraging more than mere butterfly wings. That's astounding. It has been demonstrated in laboratory that even our thought process has consequences. Today, I'm going to take you through the importance of 3 major biblical archaeology discoveries. Now, these are not the originals. Most of what we have at the museum are originals, but these are copies. I was talking to Nancy before, and she asked, is that an original, the Taylor prism? Well, I illustrated to her the fact that the original was sold in 1983 to the British Museum by Colonel Taylor. He received a fortune for it. This is an exact replica that we got from the British Museum. Now, what would be its value today? If it went up for auction, since this particular artifact, the Taylor prism, was the artifact, the document that broke the code for cuneiform writing. It was from this artifact that scholars learned how to read cuneiform. You have any idea what its value would be if it went for auction today? Anyone want to guess? The bidding would start at $25 million. That's where it would start and go much higher. Well, I'm trying to show you the value even of the replicas that we have. So after the lecture, feel free to come up, take photographs, please don't reach over and touch them, and I'm sure you understand why. Now to another paragraph before I start the lecture. We are pro-Israel. We make no apology for being pro-Israel. And all the class said, Amen. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. It was God who said that. But now today, I'm going to take you through a bit of history to show the butterfly effect. Israel was commissioned with a privilege no other people on earth were granted. They were to represent God in a unique dimension. And I'm going to spell that out for you in a few moments. But they didn't. As a result, they had to be chastised. So if I take you through some very brutal experiences and explain to you that Israel deserved those, I want you to understand that God has not set Israel aside. Romans chapter 11 makes it very clear that ultimately, well, even though we've been grafted in for a temporary period of time, ultimately, and now we're the spiritual seed of Abraham, and ultimately, God will take care of all of those who trust in His Son. But I want to make this clear. There is a theory going around that just because an individual is an Israelite, they are automatically granted citizenship in heaven. That is not the case. Abraham trusted God. Every individual must himself or herself respond to God's Son, Jesus Christ, to get to heaven. Now let's get to the importance of this now that I've qualified. So I'll not be Israel bashing, but neither will I be letting them go free after they've had a tremendous responsibility and have abdicated that responsibility. Ultimately, there will be a Jewish evangelist during a tribulation period that will literally broadcast the truth to all the nations. And we'll have a ringside seat watching all of that. But that's another story altogether.